the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
Yo, good morning. How you doing, you all? This is a new day, and yesterday we had some great news for you guys with South Park cheering prediction markets. How do you feel about that, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely entered into the pop culture, but we'll need a few more of those. I think somebody said the other day, earlier, I think it was the guy Kelsey, the voice box at Kelsey was saying we need a Simpsons one and a Family Guy one to really solidify it in culture.
Simpsons have been playing the prediction market game for a while, right? They have been predicting the future for how long now? 30 to 40
30
years?
years? It must be like, how long are they going to run The Simpsons?
Since the 80s. Since the 80s, right? Let me check. Let me ask the father of them here, ChatGPT.
I thought it was the 90s.
How long Simpsons has been airing? I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, it was 90s. It started here in Brazil, but it was already going on in the US for several times. Okay, December 79. I think it arrived in Brazil like in 93, 92, a few years later.
79?
89, sorry. 17.
Yeah, I was like, there's
17,
no fucking way it was
89.
79.
No, 35 years. Almost as old as me, man. Okay, and yesterday we had South Park covering prediction market, kind of covering, not, but talking about prediction markets. Let me share.
Covering. We do the covering.
Yeah,
they do the talking about.
They do the shit talking. We do a lot of shit talking as well, but they do the covering.
They do funnier shit talk.
Yes, I'm trying to. Where we stream? Fuck, what's going on? Can you see my screen?
No. Oh, I know what's going on. That was me.
Oh, fuck. Okay, cool.
I took a unilateral decision to mute your screen earlier.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Built like that.
So this is not a permissionless stream, as you guys can see. So this is from yesterday. South Park tweeted this during the afternoon, saying this Kyle and Cartman are the odds when a prediction market app gets popular with their fellow students in an all-new episode. So it aired last night on Paramount Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus. I already subscribed to multiple streams, so no thanks. Let me show to you what
Will President Trump and Satan's baby be a boy or a girl? Bettors on Polymarket are at nearly 60%. The demonic butt baby is gonna be a girl. Number one trending bet on the.
This is really fun because Polymarket is not allowed for people in the US, but they are clearly shouting out Polymarket, right?
Oh, if somebody did a check used like chain analysis to check where the IP address is or where the wallets really were living,
for sure,
then Polymarket would be fucked. Did you let in our guest? Are we going to let?
Yes, please. And we have a guest today for you guys. Let me introduce you, Arseni. Did I pronounce our name right, man?
Yeah, that's about it. Thanks so much for having me.
Nice to see you here. Thanks a lot for accepting our invite. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, we spoke about Gunthorn like one of our first live streams because it was really interesting because we were talking about how you need how doing this sort of collateralization is near the future, and then like suddenly we saw that we were like, holy shit, somebody already doing it.
Yes, exactly.
Let's go. Yeah,
So
the space is moving super fast.
yes, it is. It is. We were just talking about that. How South Park covered prediction markets, talking about prediction markets yesterday, and now we are waiting for the Simpsons episodes to understand what's going to happen in our future. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself. Please introduce you. Let us know who are you. How did you become? How did you arrive to prediction markets world?
Yeah, sure, 100%. So I've actually been looking into prediction markets since 2023. So at that time, I moved to San Francisco, and I quickly got to know this crowd in Berkeley who were like forecasters, rationalists, betting on Manifold, like a play money prediction market. Not sure if everyone here knows, but the guys are extremely good. Shout out to Manifold. They've been out there, I think, even before Polymarket and like generally OGs in the space. But what they do is they do points-based prediction markets, right? We have Mana, which is like a fake currency, and people can spin up markets on pretty much anything. And it's a very fun community to be in. They're also hosting plenty of like events around prediction markets. Like a while ago, they did dating based on prediction markets. So they had this like show called Bet on Love, where there was a girl who was picking one of the 10 partners to date, and there was a market on it which people were like betting live on while the show was going. So yeah, I was just part of all of those events like that a lot. Then started just betting on Polymarket myself and looking into other platforms like Limitless, Myriad. There's so many now. Yeah, and then found out that Polymarket positions are actually tokenized, and I was like, we have to do something with it. It's such an interesting asset to play with, and yeah, that's how Gonder started.
Amazing, amazing. And so, do you think, or you just said how this space is growing and how many products are we seeing right now? Do you think we are in a super cycle? Can we call what we're seeing a super cycle or what?
Yeah, so as for the prediction market meta, I think we are not there yet. Just if you look like objectively speaking, if you look at the liquidity in the order books, and I mean for us, for Gonder, it's especially important to have order books liquid because obviously that depends. Like our liquidations depend on how fast we can sell the collateral. And yeah, there isn't as much volume as there is like I guess coverage of those prediction markets. So I think yeah, the volume's yet to come. Probably what's going to accelerate the volume is more of institutional players, and we at Gonder see a lot of institutional interest. First off, making on Kalshi. Then there are plenty of teams like different funds around trading prediction markets, and so we think that this will actually bring much more volume and liquidity. And when institutions start coming in, that will be the prediction market super cycle. And right now, it's just early adopters playing around with the tech.
Amazing. And tell us more about Gonder. What is Gonder? What you guys are building and what problem Gonder solves? Oh, I think we lost him.
Yeah, sure. So for Gonder,
Yeah.
oh, you think so?
No, you're kind of
back
a little bit. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, all right. Yeah, just let me know if I'm cutting off. But yeah,
Yeah.
as for Gonder, we're building the DeFi layer on top of prediction markets, basically treating both shares people trade as assets and enabling more to do with them and just buy and sell. And the first primitive we're currently developing is a lending and borrowing protocol, which basically enables you to take a loan against your existing Polymarket positions and reuse this capital either for further trades or even elsewhere. You could put it like in other DeFi protocols, or I don't know, trade perps, go along on Bitcoin as you wish, right? And I think our core belief is that most prediction market assets are actually derivatives, the same way how we see derivatives in traditional finance being used for repackaging and like generally coming up with all kind of different products right, which then those financial firms are offering to the customers. We expect the same to happen with prediction markets, where, say, as an institution, maybe you want to hedge your existing stock position, and because of that, you're going to go and buy an earnings forecast on Polymarket, right? One of the features we recently rolled out. And in order to maximize your capital efficiency in there, you want to be able to borrow against your positions. You want to maximize the capital. And also, I mean, margin trading and leverage is part of all of that, which many people have been thinking of, especially for both binaries. So yeah, I think that's where we're headed in terms of the product. And yeah, we see a very large demand for more tools to play around with prediction markets.
And tell me a little bit more about this. So basically, imagine that I just landed on this space. So basically, I can open a position on Polymarket. For example, okay, Jesus is not coming back this year. I can have this position open here. And then what do? I plug into Yondr, I plug in my accounts to Yondr, and I can just use my shares in this market as collateral to borrow money against it. That's it?
Yep, that's right. So whenever you buy a share on Polymarket, the way how it works on the back end is that there's always a counterparty, right? So like, let's say I'm thinking that Jesus is going to return, you're thinking that he's not, right? So let's say you put 98 cents into no, and I put 2 cents into yes. So the total is $1, right? So this dollar per 2 shares is now being locked in Polymarket Vault, and 2 shares are being minted. So now I have a yes share and you have a no share. And whoever's going to be right, as determined by UMA, will unlock $1, right, whenever the market's resolved. So what we do then, and we use those shares, and we basically allow you to operate with them as tokens. These shares are ERC-1155 contracts. I think it's a standard created by Gnosis back in the day when it was like Augur and our OG prediction markets, which Polymarket is still using to this day. But it's a standard token. You can trade it, you can store it in a cold wallet, or you can use it in DeFi tools like Gonder.
Okay, and are you already talking to any protocols to make integrations to Yondr? To how is it going to work? Will I deposit my tokens there as collateral? Will I be able to mint something, or it will be like a sort of an integration with another protocols? How are you guys thinking about it?
Right, 100%. So as of right now, the way how user experience looks like is you connect the same wallet you use for Polymarket, and then we're basically able to let you deposit or like withdraw any of your assets you have on Polymarket. So whatever position you have in there, you can reuse in Gonder, right? And then everything happens through our own front end, so you don't really have to, like, I don't know, go and integrate with other parties. However, we definitely see demand for integrations, especially nowadays that there are many front ends popping up, like, I don't know, say Fireplace or TradeFox, if you guys have seen those. They're very building like these different wrappers on top of the existing experience Polymarket provides, and they're interested in providing their users with more products. So lending and borrowing, sure, and then also leverage. I mean, obviously, I think especially for the consumers, leverage is the most lucrative product. And we think that eventually we'll end up like integrating with other distribution layers as well. So if we think like about prediction markets as a broader ecosystem, there's this liquidity layer or like launchpad layer, which is Polymarket or Kalshi. They create those initial assets for people to use. Then there is distribution layer, say for Kalshi it's Robinhood, for Polymarket it's like TradeFox, Fireplace, and I'm pretty sure others will be popping up. Also, if any, like, I don't know, say any centralized exchange or decentralized exchange want to integrate prediction markets and offer those as a product to their customers, let's say Coinbase, they would connect like to Limitless, right? And people would be buying Limitless tokens with Coinbase interface. So this is the front end layer. And where we want to be is we are the DeFi layer, right? So we provide people with this DeFi interface and like protocol layer to like basically play around with their positions. And we also provide them with the front end layer, so the distribution. As of right now, it's a standalone thing. Eventually, we think that like in the broader ecosystem will likely be integrated across like all kind of different front ends. So the user experience for a typical like prediction market trader would be to go on Robinhood, place a leverage bet, which is processed through Gondor and originally bought on Kalshi, let's say. So yeah, that's where we see the space being headed.
And ideally, that will be integrated to our wallets, and we will be able to do that from Rebbe, MetaMask, whatever wallet you're using, without even ever needing to go to any front end or any app, right? This is the future that I envision,
Right.
at least.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, so you think that eventually the wallets themselves would support trading on prediction markets?
I
So
hope to
like
see that
within
something similar to what they are doing and integrating Hyperliquid, so you can open your positions straight from your wallet. And I mean, in an ideal future, I would like to see wallets making a kind of aggregators for prediction markets. So you just type what kind of market you want to play, so how much Bitcoin will cost, and then it will show you like a DEX aggregator of all the markets that are related to whatever question you would like or whatever topic you would like to play with. And then when you open your position, you say, okay, now I want to deposit this position to borrow stablecoins against that. And then ideally your wallet, you would use Gondor to show all the options that we have, that we will have. And I mean, I think
Right.
this is the future, and to simplify the user integration. I mean, I don't, as you just said, so I don't want to. We are seeing these lots of new interfaces, which are pretty cool to bring more users, specifically, especially for some specific markets, smaller communities. But ideally, I want to have access to all of them at once. You know, not going to multiple different front ends.
Right, right. No, I think it's definitely possible. And yeah, it might be a question of whether it's going to be wallets aggregating all the positions or maybe some other types of apps, because as we can see, like many of the prediction market users are not crypto natives. So it's not necessarily that they'll have like a MetaMask wallet. But yeah, I'm pretty certain there will be those aggregator tools eventually, and Polymarket or Kalshi will either like step back by being more of launch pads, right? Similar to how like we launch a meme coin and pop that fund, and then there are like a bunch of dexes picking it up, right? Or they'll have like different products, right? So essentially, maybe like they'll have Polymarket Mobile, which will likely come out with the US right distribution layer, and at the same time, like for the like a launch pad eventually.
Okay. I will ask you to excuse me for a couple of seconds just to make a shout out to our sponsor. Go to playground.groovy.market right now, and you will be able to launch your prediction market right now. We just launched our testnet yesterday, so go there. You can mint tokens, play for free, and we can even create a market on how Gondor is going to be live. And this is my next question for you. How can anyone try Gondor? Are we able to try Gondor.fi today?
Right. First off, congrats on the launch, and yeah, I would love to also play around with Groovy and what you guys been up to. As for Gondor, anyone can currently go to Gondor.fi and book a call with myself to get onboarded. We have an implementation on mainnet, and we're already processing the first loans against real Polymarket positions, but we're not yet opening it up to public. That will be slightly later. However, we're reasonably close to launch. So yeah, whoever wants to try it, feel free to book a call, and yeah, I'll be happy to walk you through.
Amazing. This is great. So guys, if you don't know Gondor yet, go to @GondorFi in Twitter or X. Start to follow them. Follow Arseni as well. And if you want to try, book a call with him, because we think this is pretty interesting, and this is the front of we need to explore. Oops. Go ahead, Nick, please.
I've got one last question, or if it is the end of the questions for him. Why Gondor? We're thinking Lord of the Rings. He got his ass handed to it initially, so what's happening? Why Gondor?
I've been just a fan.
What's the legend behind it that you like about Gondor?
Right. Yeah, I've just been a fan of Lord of the Rings for quite a while. Like, even as a kid, I think I've read the books like 5 times or so, and generally been always inspired with this universe. As for Gondor, I just like the vision, the narrative, I guess. It's like a dynasty, the Numenorians, and like how they've been existing for centuries and building like an empire, right? So I think there isn't really like a specific connection, at least not yet, what we do. Like, obviously Gondor didn't process loans against polymarket positions, but there are some stuff yet to come, build us into more of this ecosystem and empire, which will be hopefully leading throughout the centuries going forward. And also Gondor.com is still not taken, so someone had to do it, and we decided that it's gonna be us.
Nice.
Pretty cool. Really off-top question. How did you enjoy the Lord of the Rings series on Amazon? Was good or was not up to the standards?
Oh, I honestly didn't watch them. Like, I enjoy the original, I guess, and for
you didn't miss
for the prequel, yeah, like usually they aren't as good, but
we're terrible.
Yeah,
I watched the first season and it got good on the last episode, and I thought to myself, "Go fuck yourselves! You're not making me watch 7 episodes of this, and then on the last one dropping a good one. I'm not watching that next one, so I haven't." So you've missed nothing.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yes. Yeah, I think the original books and films were enough. Like, that's a very nice, like, I guess, end-to-end story, right? There isn't much to add there.
Amazing.
Even the sort of the books that he's got off the side are a bit. I suppose Lord of the Amazon series was based on one of the books, but it wasn't a great book. Stick with the trilogy and just let's not deviate from that.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So do you have a date? I mean, when you expect to go under to go live to the main public?
Right. Yeah. So as of right now, we're not disclosing the exact date yet, but it's going to be sooner than people think. We're pretty much through most of the V1 implementations. We also see a lot of potential on like what else we can build out, especially like once we go further, talk to people, like do all of those user interviews. We see like so much of different directions. But I think first off, we'll launch with a V1, and that will be out very soon.
Okay, amazing. So let me just highlight this post from you guys, because if you were listening or watching us now, and if you are interested about what Yonder is doing, so they are hiring. So check out their their Twitter profile here and just apply for a job at join@Yonder.fi, because we need smart people building this, and I'm really excited about what you guys are doing. Let's
go. Thanks for so much of shout outs. Yeah, we do hire people for sure, especially if you're an engineer or someone who's generally curious about thinking through both composability ideas. Shoot us a note. We're reading through all the emails, and yeah, would love to see if there's a way for us to work together.
Okay. So moving forward in this section of the show, we usually go through some Twitter contents and we make comments of what we think about that. Would you like to join us on that part as well?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm terminally online.
This is
on
when it gets
Twitter,
fun.
So, yeah.
This is when it gets really fun. We start to really bullshit about stuff and see what's what.
So I have this article that you guys highlighted here, but I would like to save this for later because it seems to be serious. It seems to be really cool. So basically, I would like to highlight this fight between quotes, of course, between Polymarket and Cauchy. Basically, Cauchy reduced the API that they are paying for deposit there from 4 to 3.5, and fast enough Polymarket posted that now they pay the highest interest rates for any prediction market. So it's 4% annualized rewards, which, dude, for me in Brazil, that's nothing. So we are paying 15% in savings accounts here. It's crazy, you know. I think we only lose for Argentina, but anyway. So one of these days, Nick and I, we were covering here. There was someone asking, okay, what's the APY you would like to get to park your money in any prediction markets to provide liquidity? And I would like to hear from you, because people were saying, okay, I would be down to park my money there for 1 month to get 20 to 30% APY. What do you think about that? Is this kind of, is it feasible? Is it too much? How much will be enough for how long? Because everybody's
Right.
discussing how we get this
Because
liquidity.
liquidity is the key across the board, as you were saying at the beginning. If we can't get deep markets, then the markets aren't going to be successful.
So you're thinking of essentially putting the liquidity in for market making purposes, right? So
Yes.
it's like a vault, which people. I think that's a difficult one because it really depends on.
Let's try again. Are you listening well, Nick?
Let's see.
Or it's just me?
Yeah. No, the thing is, he's in London, and London has terrible Wi-Fi.
Right. That is true. Wait, I can hear you guys perfectly. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
No, I can hear you perfect. I think we're good to go. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So sorry. I've been hearing you all the time. So I guess as for the market making, I've seen some of the ideas where people were just like, let's create a vault which Polymarket would curate by their own, right? And they would market make some of the markets on Polymarket, and people would dump their stable coins in there, earn some yield. I think it's very difficult to market make on prediction markets, especially when there's no hedge. And if you do some of the cultural market making or politics market making, you're basically exposing yourself to a directional risk. What I see as a trend is that there's more market making activity coming into markets which are hedgeable, right? So like, let's say those crypto prices or stocks earnings recently. I think the Costco earnings market got very decent liquidity. If you look through the order book, there are like tens of thousands of dollars sitting for every cent worth of the price difference, right? Which is very good, and I assume that like the reason for it is that the market makers are hedging with the underlying cost of stock. Though, I might be wrong here. I think it's very difficult to market make from the first place, and I honestly wouldn't think that Polymarket would ever let users, delegate their USDC for market making. There's another product called, what's been the name? I completely forgot, but somebody is now building this basically market making tool for Polymarket, where you can do exactly what you guys are thinking of, but as a third party, not for Polymarket directly. But getting back to the yield question, I think the easiest way is to just park this capital in stuff like Aave, right? And pay maybe like 6% with this bull run on their stable coins. And this yield can be slightly dynamic. I don't think anyone cares. So also another point here is that Web2 users are not quite used to those dynamic yields. So that's what might be the reason why Polymarket's currently like limiting it at 4%. Or 4% is obviously like extremely small. But as for market making, I think it's very difficult to say. Like, even if I were to be offered to like delegate cash for market making on Polymarket, probably my biggest question would be like, how exactly is market making executed? How are the market makers protected from directional risk? What if some of the positions are actually getting filled and now you're exposed, right? what's happening during those large market spikes, right? I think it's all the same questions surrounding binaries. So yeah, probably. I mean, yield wise, if there's no risk of directional exposure, then anyone would be comfortable even with like 10-15%. I guess 20 is extremely high. But the question is, yeah, how much of the risk is there? And that's a very difficult thing to say unless we're talking about some specific tech. But honestly, I don't really think Polymarket has to go this path of like enabling people to market make. The easiest way is to just park everything in Aave, disclose that there is the most legit, like most secure DeFi protocol out there, and then people would be like more than happy with it. And I think they would also easily outperform the 4% yield they're currently paying.
Yeah.
Are you talking for deposits or market making there? Just deposits.
What's that?
Did you, when you, that last point about parking it in Aave, you're talking about deposits or market making?
Yeah, no. So like, I don't think market making should be like an option for a regular user. It's just deposits, right? So like this shares thing, which I was talking about, where like we have $1 park per every 2 shares. Instead of just having it sitting in the vault, we can have it sitting in Aave, and then this AUSDC is sitting in Polymarket's vault, representing the original dollar, right? So probably that's the easiest path.
Yeah, Nick and I, we have been discussing that. Imagine if we could make a platform, have this platform, and all the money that is deposited there, both in your, I mean, the total TVL, both in deposits and open positions, you can just park there somewhere. It's generating yields and it's paying the users the yield is generated. Of course, it adds a layer of risk, and this is something that retailers usually forget. I mean, every time that you get some extra juice on your money, there is some risk attached to that.
Yeah.
But I think I think your answer is way more down to earth than what we've been seeing here the last few days. Because people were talking about 20 to 30% APY.
30%. It was crazy for market making. Like not that Polymarket would actually even do this, but just the numbers that were thrown out, and it's like you have no idea what
the
you're
level,
saying. Like,
I mean,
very difficult to achieve.
I mean, the level of leverage you have to do to make that amount of money. The level of leverage and the level of risk. And this is something that I think, I mean, thinking about investment strategies, simply put, people who usually lose money, they only focus on how much money they could make. So they focus on 30, 40, 50%. Remember Terra Luna? And people who actually make money, they understand the risk there are behind so they don't want to lose whatever they have. So that's the thing that I think differentiates.
Yeah, I think the 2 reasons why people could have asked for such high yield is, first off, it's a bull market right now, the double-digit return, and then secondly, maybe people are pricing this risk in. So they're like, okay, we think that Polymarket positions are volatile, and whatever you're going to be market making is going to cause some losses, right? So we'd rather be compensated for those losses, and that's why we want 20-30%. So I mean, although this question doesn't explicitly ask about how risky we think this market making is, I think people imply that it's risky, and because of that, they're like, yeah, we're only going to do it if the yields are high enough, right?
Okay, Nick, please don't kill me. I'm gonna change subjects once again. I know we are talking about the financial side of prediction markets, but there is a story going on prediction markets the last few days that Nick and I have been following closely, which is Lord Miles' challenge on Polymarket. And the reason we are following
we do a daily update.
Yeah, we do this daily update, and I almost forgot to do this today. So this market is sold in 5 days. And what is really interesting for us about this, and I hope the guy is well, but the thing is, how we resolve markets and the unfold of the rules during the market is live, and when shit like that happens. So let me just share my screen really fast here with you guys. So when we started talking about this a few days ago, the chances of him completing this challenge was around 30%, 27%, I believe. Yesterday, it dived to 16%, and now is sitting around 20%. there were no more updates in the rules or any additional clarification. Um, but I would like to ask you, Arseni, what do you think about these situations? Because imagine if I have my position here and this market was sitting in around 70%. So imagine I deposit this on Gondor and I have a huge amount of money there as collateral, and something this big news came and bam, could I be liquidated? And it has to do, I mean, I don't know. He can come out tomorrow and say, no, I have a footage of everything that happened in the last few days. I don't know if you are aware of this case. Are you?
Yeah, I'm definitely aware, and I even have a small bet on this market myself. So I've been looking into this
Yeah.
market pretty much since the beginning. I never bet because I was like, okay, there were so many insiders, et cetera, et cetera. And also there's another guy from Polysides, Tre, shout out to Polysides as well. Not sure if you guys seen the project, but they're tracking insiders, which like create new wallets and then like load with lots of shares. And there's so many insider actions on both directions, and yes and no. So I was like, whatever, I'm not going to be trading on that one. I also don't really know who Lord Miles is, so I didn't really want to get that deep into context. But I've seen people discussing it, and I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. And then so once he rocked the market and went dark, I think the market price went extremely low, somewhere like even below 20 cents. And I bought a very small portion of shares at somewhere around that. Just because I was like, okay, probably there's going to be some market dispute and the market will likely be pretty volatile. So right now I have a limit order for sale at around 50 cents. I think at some point the market might jump in there and I'll just exit at the top. I don't think the market will resolve to yes. I mean, I'm not sure. It might actually, or it might not. But I'm just trying to benefit from the spikes. Yeah, I think it's extremely interesting to trade both types of markets because now it's not really a market on whether the challenge will be completed, but like how the rules are going to be interpreted.
Yeah,
and what's going to happen more from like this perspective, which is very very fascinating to me. Although unfortunately I didn't like load up with a large position here, and maybe I should have because why not? It's an interesting precedent. But I guess my general takeaway from the Lord Miles market is first off, no crying in the casino. Like it's literally a market dependent on a single person. I think we'll see more and more of those, especially with permissionless market creation, what you guys are building, and etc. And people should get used to market manipulations if there's like an outcome dependent on a single person's decision. I think in general, those prediction markets are very much capped by the underlying assets. So because these are derivatives, right? The market only makes sense as long as the overall like exposure of a market is less than the cost of manipulating it. And that's why we at Gondor also think that eventually the markets will be leaning towards those hedgeable assets because like the underlying market for like say Costco price is still liquid, but it can handle a lot of liquidity on Poly market on the Costco earnings or like say other types of derivatives because it's still non-manipulative. But for these markets, like right now it's 10 million volume traded, total on Lord Miles. If Lord Miles were offered $10 million to rock the market, he would definitely do it, right? So the only question is how much he can benefit, like benefit at the moment, right? So how much liquidity is there in the order books, right? But if we were to imagine that there's $10 million worth of liquidity in the order books, he would definitely rock the market, right? So there's a very, very feasible cap in here regarding how big this market can get. And if they get too big, that's what happens. Like people get rocked, right? I think that's my stance around the market in general. And then as for how we at Gondor handle it, so first off, we wouldn't be supporting Lord Miles as collateral from the first place. Like we're so just to give you like a little bit of sneak peek into how we're thinking of all of that, we're curating the markets we support, and obviously it's not going to be like all the markets available on Poly from day one. We also have a way on how to support most of the markets on Poly market, but that's going to be like more on a V2 and like rolled out slightly later than the first version. But for the first one, we'll have both limited. right? And we would not have Lord Miles as collateral. But if we were to have Lord Miles as collateral, we would try to liquidate the position. Yeah, just sell it. So sometime during that crash, we would put a limit order, and yeah, it would auto liquidate a person who put it in as a loan. Yeah, but I think in general, this market is quite fun. Like maybe it's just me who doesn't
interesting.
have like too much on stake, but I'm watching closely, and I'm like, okay, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah,
why we are the $1 trade show. So we've been placing these $1 bets, and we have this $1 position open all across different markets. You know, we are just testing our strategies here, and this is what we advise to people. Although we are not making any financial advice, guys, we are just talking about stuff here. I mean,
mucking around.
don't put a lot of money in any market. You know, I mean, use this as a tool. We are still developing, as Arseni was just saying. I mean, in this case, there are a lot of incentives to rug this
rug it.
market. And yes,
So
and
this is what we spoke about with Aggie yesterday, and it'd be good to get your sort of point of view on it. So these are all permissioned markets, and what we're doing is permissionless, right? So like you said, anything can happen there, and that is just the nature of the permissionless world, right? Like what can happen will happen, right? However, I feel like the liability very much sits with Polymarket on this one, because they actively engaged with somebody who has a dubious background of faking his death and other things like that. And they actively worked on him with him and Monarch, I presume, to create that market. So, like, what's your thoughts on that? Because as far as I can see it, just to know my position, it's just like there's a moral hazard to create a market on that, right? And they did it from a permission point of view. If it was permissionless, then there is literally no crime in the casino. But if you're creating markets with a known rugger and bullshitter, like what happens? Like, does somebody roll out the lawyers and start trying to sue Polymarket? They lost a lot of money.
What's the responsibility of?
Surely this calls the regulators to Polymarket's door if somebody loses a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, definitely agree here. And like first off, I think the reason why we see markets like that and like the dildo markets on the NBA games and etc. is because it's Trump's administration right now and crime is legal. So yeah, that's a very important factor.
Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault.
Yeah, because like I'm sure Polymarket wouldn't do stuff like that with Democrats. But yeah, right now, I think Polymarket's actually facing a choice. So they wouldn't be able to do both types of markets for long enough. Like if they really want to play on the institutional field and attract more of sophisticated stakeholders, they would have to be very cautious with the markets they're listing. If they want to be more of cultural, they would continue doing what they are doing right now, but they would probably miss on this like institutional opportunity, because not only hits their reputation, it's also that like all of those firms looking at different platforms, seeing like how weird and ridiculous those markets are, they would probably prefer like Culture or other competitors in this case. And my assumption is that eventually like Polymarket will have to decide, especially like on the regulator side, whether they're more coming after the permissionless market creation or more after those large volume, impactful, I guess, fundamental markets like elections and other stuff. And I'm honestly thinking that they're going to do the choice in favor of those large markets, what the Polymarket's culture been, I think, historically. Like they were always branding themselves as a source of truth and et cetera, and they want to be this like extremely large organization influencing how those information flows are happening in the world. So yeah, my assumption is that right now they're just doing it as part of their growth strategy, and it's definitely not giving them the best look. Like if I were part of Polymarket team, I would not create the Lord Miles market. I would not create the dildos market. But at the same time, it gets them lots of views, right? So especially like on the dildos one, that one went quite all right. Although I thought that it's going to be a precedent. Like, but some newspaper at least is going to write, but okay, prediction markets are manipulating the reality and all of that. But no one really cared apparently. So probably that's why they're like continuing to play with both like directions. But sooner or later, like I think they'll see that it has some negative consequences, especially like on the Twitter side. Because like initially, right, the Twitter was kind of very one-sided, right? Everyone was pro Polymarket. Kalshi was deeply hated, right? Now Kalshi is trying to rebuild their reputation by hiring influencers, and at the same time, Polymarket has this like sequence of rugged markets, which also puts some crypto natives on the Kalshi side, although not all of them, right? So yeah, like I think eventually Polymarket will just stop playing with those and continue where we were initially headed for those large, impactful markets, hopefully.
I think there was also a lot of criticism around Kalshi after the FBI, after the elections, and the FBI went to Shane Kaplan's house. There was a leak of a supposed message between people from Kalshi hiring influencers to talk about that. So people got really pissed about that. But actually now, as you say, it seems that they are hiring all the kind of small to medium influencers out there in crypto to talk about Kalshi.
Even big ones. It's big ones as well. So,
I have a prediction question to Arseni.
Wait there.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna hold this
one thing kind of ties into this. So when we're talking about Kalshi versus Polymarket, I see Kalshi as, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, just like so I'm not building the echo chamber. Kalshi seems to be very much going down if you were looking at the go-to-market strategies, right? You can make lots of money here. Whereas Polymarket's a bit quieter about that, and they're more like, we're building something that is like, Gondor sort of thing, will last for a very long time, will have a lot of deep influence in society. Is that how you see it, or do you have like another sort of view on it? Maybe you like have other information that I do, because we're basically watching it from the outside. We don't know anybody at Kalshi, we don't know anybody in Polymarket, and we're just like, it's just my view is Polymarkets went, you can make loads of money with your friends trading over here, and Kalshi did that, and Polymarket is more like they're a lot quieter, understated, more kind of like talking to devs and builders.
Right. So, I mean, first off, as for Gondor, we're trying to stay neutral between those two because obviously, I mean, both Polymarket and Kalshi will be large players. I personally have some opinions, but it's definitely not what Gondor represents. And like for us, we want to stay neutral and support pretty much any prediction market out there eventually because we want to be this like DeFi layer. But as for myself, what I see is indeed, I think Kalshi is going more of the short-term path, like with the sports especially. So, right, like basically most of the Kalshi's volume right now, and the reason why we surpassed Polymarket is because of sports, right? Polymarket also was doubling down on sports for quite some time. But I think still, like, predominant volumes on Polymarket are enough, which I think is cool and definitely more market should look like at the end state. However, I also understand like the Kalshi's position, and I think there's always some trade-offs. Like, right, everyone wants to be idealistic and like build the thing from scratch. But as we were discussing, there are lots of problems with prediction markets by nature, especially on the liquidity side. And because of that, Polymarket's doing those weird markets as for GTM. Kalshi is doing the sports markets, and people are trying to find some in-between options to then have enough capital to move further, right? So Kalshi right now is highly profitable as far as I know. They're like literally printing millions daily, and that enables them to do all of those key hires, etc. And even if they are currently sticking to sports, eventually they have cash to expand to other like fields, right? And when the demand's there, they'll hopefully move to like being mostly focused on like the real prediction market use cases. For Polymarket, they're definitely closer to this ideal vision of how prediction markets should work. But I think we're constrained with capital right now. I'm not sure. I don't have any like insider info on that. But my assumption would be that just because we haven't turned the revenues on, right? They aren't yet focusing on those sports markets like Fairlight and other stuff. They probably are missing on some of the revenue they could make if they were to go this like short-term path and support more sports, like let's say, or turn the fees on, right? And I really respect that decision. I think that like Polymarket definitely remains now, but it's very important to make sure that you'll win eventually, right? Because all of those like trade-offs don't really matter if you don't end up being the winner, right? Like it's better to make, I guess, those type of short-term trades and eventually win rather than like stay idealistic and not take over the market. So we'll see. I mean, it's still TBD, and I think Polymarket has like lots of extra weapons prepared, like the US entrance, the token, etc., etc. All of that's gonna happen soon enough. But yeah, I guess generally that's my overall like. I'm trying to formulate my stance as neutrally as it can be, but
you don't. The thing is, it's not. It's having an opinion isn't taking a side. It's just your view of it. It's like I don't think one's bad versus the other at all. I'm just trying to understand what their tactics are, like how, because if you think about it from risk strategy, and I always make this reference, like in Formula One, the guy at the back of the grid is not doing the same strategy as the guy at the front. So I'm interested in seeing how their strategies chop and change to try pick the first. And I actually don't think there'll be a winner at all. And in fact, I think it's really, really unhealthy for the entire prediction market ecosystem if we only end up with Kalshi and Polymarket. Because then it's like, if you only had one mobile phone network provider in the world, you would pay a fortune for that and get very little innovation. So we need as much competition as possible in the space to dilute the power that Kalshi. I mean, just look at big tech like Apple, Google own mobile phones, right? You don't necessarily get to pick if you can have privacy because they own mobile phones, right? And they own all the lobbyists that talk to it. By the way, I come from a very cyberpunk sort of background, so I'm always looking at this as an systemic power struggles, right? And in the end, like every industry I've ever seen, there's usually 3 top players, and it moves between those 3 anyway. And nobody really cares about those 3 at that point because like they're up there. Nobody can really touch them. But I think one thing I was just thinking as you were talking there about Polymarket, it feels like Polymarket tends to kind of embody the sort of crypto way of being, is we are a layer, you build on top. That's the sort of vibe that I get from Polymarket right now anyway.
Right. Definitely agree here. I think regarding the winners, there's like a little bit of a differentiator here, because for Kalshi and Polymarket, whoever gets the most liquidity in the order book will exponentially increase the amount of volumes in there and liquidity as well, because it will be sort of like it's like loop essentially, where more liquidity creates more volumes create more liquidity.
They call it the flywheel.
The flywheel,
right? Yeah, okay, the flywheel.
If you're
whatever.
pitching to VCs, you need to know that. You need to know that word. They expect to see it in the deck.
Right. Yeah, gosh. We're still we're still waiting for the delete flywheel, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, essentially that might end up like creating a winner, a very specific winner out of Kalshi versus Polymarket. And also another possibility, I guess, is that they'll just take niches. Like maybe Kalshi will be sports oriented and like culture oriented, and Polymarket will be like more economics oriented and like institutions oriented. Let's say that would be another outcome.
And Groovy will be for general culture.
To me, would you say?
And Groovy will be for general culture.
Just general
Kalshi for sports,
more and more
Polymarket for elections, and ours for everything else.
Let's go. Bullish.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, Nick,
I think
I have
that's
a
all
question.
my immediate questions.
I have a question. It's not as technical or important as yours, but
Okay,
it's
that's
interesting.
good. That not everything needs to
So
be that way.
yeah, so Arseni, so we are seeing Kalshi teasing that they are moving on chain. They
Oh, here
have
we go.
partnership with Base and Solana. So if or when they move on chain, just a guess, which chain do you think they would move to? And it has to do with Gondor as well, because can I assume that Gondor is building on Poly Market, or are you guys building another chain and using a communication protocol? So it's two
Right,
questions.
right. Yeah, 100%. So first off, starting with Gondor, we're currently deployed on Polygon and likely will remain there for quite some time. We'll be supporting cross-chain integrations as well, but I think the core piece will be on Polygon just because Polymarket's there and that's the easiest way for us to integrate with them. As for Kalshi, they're certainly moving on chain. I mean, probably all of the indicators are there, right? Even with Solana, not only they launched those programs and different grants, but they're also co-hosting events. So if you guys are heading to Token Singapore, it's going to be a large prediction markets conference there, co-hosted by Solana and Kalshi, which I think many other products are also getting involved in. So Fireplace will be there and other guys. So yeah, pretty obvious that they will eventually end up on chain, and I think it's going to be soon enough. I don't have any insider info on the deadlines, but my assumption would be that it's somewhere around the same time when Polymarket enters the US, and they sort of want it to be as a counterattack. Chain, unfortunately, chain big enough, so I have to keep it to the insider. But yeah, you probably can guess it already. It's
because they released, it was the Solana and Base. They said, because obviously I don't think they want to say clearly who they're going with, right? So they've made a sort of hedge where they're saying grants on Base and grants on Solana. But I saw from what's it called, Alliance, right? So the fund, he posted yesterday. I can't remember his name. Khan or what was it? Oh, I can't remember the name off the top of his head. Terrible with names. But he was basically, we're full tilt into Base. We're telling all of our projects to build on Base. And I'm like, all right, what does he know that we don't know? And does this affect, because they've got investments in prediction markets, right? I think Yoshi, who I'm sure you know of, his team's in with them, right? And it's just interesting to see if, and he speaks quite a lot about prediction markets right now. So I'm like, have you got some piece of information that you think that Base is going to be the chain maybe to take on Solana? I mean, I don't necessarily think an EVM is going to take on Solana. I just from a technical point of view. But
it makes sense. It makes sense to Base, since Coinbase has a huge user base in the US. So they moved these wallets to a kind of app integrated to Coinbase. So if you have a Coinbase account, it's really easy to move to their wallet and app and everything. So I mean, but Limitless is building already on Base. So I don't know.
Oh, are they? I didn't know where they were built, actually. That's good to know.
So just as Arseni mentioned, there will be these events. So Prediction Index is hosting this event at Singapore in next week, right? So yeah, it's going to be the first event that I'm aware of, in
It's
real
big,
life event for exclusively for prediction markets. So just highlight here a shout out to Prediction Index. They are building something really cool, putting together all the projects they are building prediction markets here. Pretty cool.
Let's go. Yeah, definitely. I think as for the tickets, probably this event's already sold out, but if anyone needs one, I can probably get you something organized. So yeah, just hit me up. Whoever watches this translation, if you guys are going to be in Singapore, you should definitely attend that one. As you can see, pretty much all the names which are familiar to you are co-hosting.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to Singapore, but I'm going to DevConnect in Argentina in November. So if you're listening to us and you're planning to go to Argentina, hit me up as well. Okay, amazing. Nick, we are getting to 1 hour call. I think we
We should
took
wrap
all.
this up. We
Yes,
don't want fatigue.
I think so. That the last thing that I want to share, guys, once again, we launched our testnet yesterday, so you can hit playground.groovy.market, use your social account to log in here. You can start creating your own markets. You can just click on deposit here, print a lot of free money, and create markets related to basically everything. So you can
We're calling
select
it
a
Groovy
buy.
USDC. It's not real.
Yes. So you can build markets about sports, crypto, esports, commodities, pop culture, whatever. If you click to a market and you don't find what you need, so we are working with templates to make it everything way easier for you to build your markets. But even though if you don't find what you need, just click here on this button here, write us a message, make sure to test it out, give us feedback. We want to hear from you. We want to build something for the prediction market community, and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter as well. It's $1 trade show, one trade show .substack.com. Follow GondorFi on Twitter, follow Orseni. Shout out to you guys. It's great what you guys are building. I'm really excited about that. I want to see more people building these financial products on top of prediction markets. I think that's the future. And did I miss anything, Nick?
I don't think so. Be good to have you back when you're like kind of closer to going to like mainnet, like going live, and we can chat about like if anything's changed or what you learned in the process, because you learn so much stuff building things, like what didn't work and why it didn't work and what you would need to have made it work and how maybe it's not there yet, or like it's such an interesting process building products and putting them into the market. So it'd be great to hear. Everybody hears about the lovely stories of startups, but I think they suck. They're not as rich as the hard parts of a startup. So come talk to us about like what's been going on like in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
When you're ready to show us, let us know. We can go live and show the platform how I could leverage my positions and everything. We can do that live.
I just want to say something. So we are bigger on X than anywhere else. But shout out to the one person on YouTube and the two people on Groovy Market. We see you, or not Groovy Market, on Rumble. We see you out there. But it's just nice, like when you see that number kind of tick up. The X numbers never report in here. I don't know if you can see that stuff. That's any, but it's always funny when somebody from Rumble pops in or somebody from YouTube, and you're like, oh, somebody organically found something in those algorithms. Well done. But big shout out to everybody on Twitter watching in the future.
Yes, that's it.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Orseni. All the best, all good luck with Gondor. We are excited to see Gondor coming live. And join us next week, guys. If you're listening to us, we will be back on Monday with the show. We will have more guests next week, and we will cover everything that's going on prediction markets. Let's fucking go.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
Let's go. Thanks so much for having me.